Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Menkov. Today is 12th of January, 2022, and I'm continuing my series, Daily Reality with Alex. During this series and year 2023, I'm explaining a lot of the things and how my mindset is and how I'm dealing with reality and what is necessary in order all of us to be able to be rulers of our personal reality. And today I would like to speak about a very ignored topic, or a topic that a lot of us are not willing to dive in, and a topic we actually are not willing to use it as our daily experience. And this is the topic about reality creation. And when we go about the beginning, because it's very important how creation is happening, and all of us know the stories from the Bible and from other ancient teachings that in the beginning God said, and so on and so on and so on. So in other ancient teachings also, it is mentioned that actually reality was created by an intent. Someone outside of the creation decided by intent to create reality. And then how exactly does this happen? What exactly are the details about the creation? It is, of course, important, and one day all of us are going to know it, but the problem with the truth and the problem with knowing, and that's why I gave up this idea of exploring, of knowing everything. The most important thing for all of us in reality is just to know only what is important for us, and not only what is important for us, but what is important for us in the given specific moment. Only what is important for me in my personal reality, or only what is important for you and for each of us in our personal realities. This is the important knowledge that we are to be applying. We don't need to know all the unanswered questions. This is now not how the design of reality is created. The design of reality is created in such a way that everything that we are to know for the specific moment of when this knowledge is to be available for us, it is always coming to us. And the problem with reality, and the problem with knowing, and the problem with the truth is that it is hidden in the obvious. And it is the same with reality creation, and also why it's important to understand the concept of creation, because creation is constantly happening before our eyes. Creation is a process that is ongoing, and also it is something that is constantly evolving, in a sense that it is always work in progress. So for sure in creation there should be an intent, and then there are two types of thinking. One type of thinking is that there is a one singular intent that created everything, or at least there is a creator of the construct. Then there are sub beings that are involved into the creation of everything else, and so on and so on. And when we are exploring reality, since we don't know, the only thing we are doing is to look, to explore, and to see what is already available for all of us based on the experiences of the people from the past, of ancient texts, and so on. But from the perspective of reality, what is important for us to know that intent is part of the creation. Then, is it necessary only one intent to exist in order something to be created, or long term more than one intent is creating into reality? And especially in the construct of reality which we are specifically experiencing as beings, it's more than one intent that is involving into the creation of our daily reality. For example, in my own personal reality, when I'm creating the external, when I'm influencing in the external realm, is it only my intent that is working, or is it also something that is allowed based on every other intents that are moving forward into the reality? And is there a specific algorithm towards which everything is working? It is very important because a lot of beings, they feel the power of manifestation, they feel the power of creation, they feel the power of co-creation. They understand that in each of us as beings, there is a part of this intent collapsing mechanism that is part of the creation process. But in order to understand more about the creation and the reality, and to answer for ourselves the questions, is reality constantly created and constantly recreated based on the universal intents of all that exists? Because without reality, we cannot experience. Without intent, there should not be a possibility for creation to exist. It's impossible life to exist without an intent and a spark for life to be willing to be. So since intent is very important part of everything that is, and also we are to learn that when we are into manifestational processes, and this is how creation is happening in reality, when intent is used, it's not necessary only my intent to be involved into reality manifestations. And that's why, for example, we the human beings have a very strong and powerful ability to cooperate, and we are not using. Do you know how many things are created based on the intent not of one singular people, but of intent of much more collaborating and community type of intent? So it's not necessary everything in creation to be only our own personal intent. Yes, but Alex, you said that we need to want. I can unite my desire and my wants and my intent with other people, and we can create a common collaborational intent towards something. It's not necessary everything to be created only based on my own personal intent. So many times we can collaborate with others in doing this. So it is very interesting to understand that also towards the same thing, there should be and can be a positive intent towards something to be manifested, and also a resistential intent towards something to not be manifested from different type of ways. So it is very easy to see this when clashes happens, when interests collapse in a sense like in a conflict, and when there is a resistance. It is very easy to see this when war happens, because it's clashes between different intents, and then which intent is going to dominate in the physical matter reality, and which intent is going to be allowed long term to be manifested and to dominate is also important. And when such type of things are happening into the reality, it is important to know, are we stepping back? Are we moving forward? Are we pushing towards something? Are we going to transmute it? Are we going to overcome it? Or are we going to go another way? Because we are also adaptable beings. So long term, we are to learn that since there is more than one intent in reality, yes, I'm responsible for my personal reality only to the extent of expressing my own personal intent, but then long term, I'm also observing how the powers of intent are moving forward in reality, and to what extent is possible to form and what is allowed according to what type of rules, and then this will and this intent is or going to be manifested or not. I know a lot of us think that only the spiritual matter reality is the one that matters, only the invisible matter, but why then there is so much pushing towards the physical matter reality, which I'm calling the womb of creation? Why God, the creator, intended to create such a fruitful reality where the intents are possible to create everything which is imaginable, or even everything that is unimaginable. And then why in this reality we are put as being with potential to collapse, with probabilities to express anything that looks like impossible and to be able to create. Then why we as beings are so strongly willing to back up and to learn and to explore and to see to what extent we are able long term to be surrounded with potential and probability to express more of what we are into the physical materiality. I know a lot of people are thinking that this is not important. It is not important to dominate. It is not important to influence. It is not important to express the inner being. But then we need to understand that these forces of intent are long-term, designed and destined to go into balance and also to be moved towards a specific direction. For example, all of us knows or are hearing, and it is very easy to understand that power corrupts. If for my intent is allowed more to be expressed, that what me as a being, as an inner ecosystem, am able to hold, then corruptional processes are happening within me, because I see the power of my intent, how it's creating things into reality, and how I start to dominate. So I think and I start comparing myself and I start feeling this power of creation. Then it is much more easy for all of us to understand it, because then we say, okay, now the ego is rising, or this person wants to be powerful, and we can spot this. But what about weakness corrupts? What about all of us that are not willing to express anything? Why this also corrupts? It corrupts because then those of us that are not willing to express, that are not willing to press forward our inner being into existence in the physical matter reality, then we are allowing for what is powerful and corrupt to become even more powerful, to dominate, and to tremble upon anything else. So the weak people are promoting corruption and are the victims of the power and the dominance of the other intents that are allowed to manifest there in reality. So if we are not using our intent and co-creational powers to influence from the inside out reality, we are allowing for those who know, for those who are doing it already, to do it even more. Then there is another very interesting observation about the reality that we are in. A lot of us don't like it, we ignore it. We say, okay, Alex, if there was one creator, and if he created everything, and if he created all the design, why we are in such a mess? Why there is no idealistic reality? And we can go into so much blame and accusations towards not liking reality as it is. But long term, once we understand that reality is created in such a way that there is no intent that can prevail and dominate based on not allowing other intents to express themselves. So in this sense, this womb of creation we call physical matter reality is out there for all of us, all the intents of the universe to influence it. And okay, we are part of the creations as beings. There are other beings that are also created and are able with us, through us, or by us to also influence the physical materiality. So when you look in the moment in the physical materiality that we are right now in the moment in, it is the result and the effect of the states of all of the beings that we are in the moment, and also of the expression of who we are that we were able to manifest into this reality. And then, of course, a lot of us are asking, okay, but why, if there is a universal creator's intent, why it is not just intervening in such a way that it redesigns everything? Why, if we are not perfect, we are allowed to exist? Because real perfectness, real purity, real creator can allow, because of the love principle, even imperfectness to exist only to the extent that long-term processes are there for it to be transformed into a long-term direction where it is going to become something else. And since we, the human beings, are created in a way that we are having a lot of potential. We are having the power of intent that we are usually expressing through our mouth and our words, but also we are in adaptational process while we are using this intent here in this physical matter reality. And long term, all the universe is going to continue to work with intent. And once all the intents in reality are back into order and subduing to each other in a perfect harmony, only then we are all going to experience a mutual reality which is going to be beneficial for all of us. So, in a sense, when you look and when you observe, and when we all observe the physical matter reality, we are not to go into delusion that it is only solipsism, that it is only because of me, but we are not also to come and to go into the delusion that reality that all of us are experiencing, it's not also because of us, because we are 100% responsible for everything we experience, and also 100% every other intent, both in the physical materiality or the non-physical materiality, is able to intervene or influence everything that we are experiencing. So in a sense, we have 100% control to give the power and the force of our intent forward, and then based on the support of the physical materiality construct, we are experiencing things, but it doesn't matter that only our intent matters. Then, of course, all the different type of intents work on different levels in the specificity and the details of reality. If we say, what about the will of God or the intent of God, who is the creator of everything? His intent is so strongly put towards the governance of everything and towards the long-term direction and the end goal. And then, because of the objectivity of everything, long-term, everything that is not harming the long-term goal of the end of creation, the possibility for it to be allowed is there. And that's why sometimes the highest type of intents, which are part of the creational intentions and the beings that are involved strongly into the creation, this type are part of the so-called judges. Then we go down the road. There are a lot of type of executional beings with their intent, which is under the intent of the judges. And that's why in the Bible and in a lot of other books, there is a final judgment that is going to be final judgment of what? Of the works. What are the works? The results of the intents that were able to have all the probabilities and all the possibilities to express themselves. So in the end of everything, not only everything is going to be judged, and by judged you mean accounted, compared, estimated towards all the rules that are invisible, all the walls that are invisible, and will be compared with the perfect scenarios of everything and with perfection. And of course, 99.9% of the human beings know that we don't have the power or we are not capable of perfection. And we think that this is a big problem. And it is if we didn't have the archetype of a savior. And this is why we are coming and even we are bringing into existence and we are calling for external power, for external being, for the help of our own personal creator to transform us and transmute us into beings that are able to come to the standards that the reality was supposed to be lived in. Yes, we can admit that in the moment, all of us are below the standards of what is possible. And yet, through the way everything is provided in reality, there is always a way in which we are able to move up, to give up, and to be aligned, and to go back into the standard of how reality is made to be lived, to be experienced, and so on and so on. And that's why there are a lot of talks about where we are learning. It is a school, it is a dojo, it is whatever you want to call it. But the main and the important thing is to understand that in reality, it's not only one intent, it's not only me, it's a lot of things that are coming and happening simultaneously. And long term, what I'm responsible for is my personal intent and how I'm ruling it, how I'm expressing it, and what I'm creating with it. And then to spot and observe with gratitude everything that was part of my imagination, of my probabilities, that was allowed to be expressed in the physical matter reality, because only this is validating me as a being of standing and having a posture of alignment with reality. So this is a very small part of understanding the creation cycle. And of course, it is a long-term, very strong and big explorational processes. But it's important just to know that not everything happened just inside of us, not everything happened just outside of us, not everything happens only in the non-physical matter reality, but anyhow, everything in the moment is focused on the womb we call reality creation. So, in a sense, based on this, the end result is that we are coming into a long-term transformation, and it is important because we haven't chosen how we are going to enter, but for sure it's up to us the way we are exiting at least this type of conscious experience and awareness. And we have so much to learn, to spot, to observe, and to understand in order to be aligned into this reality in all its aspects, in order to be able to move forward powerfully as we were supposed to. Thank you for watching, and just remember, creation exists because of intent. Bye-bye.